Good morning. Dan Goodson, ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, that's enough trauma for today. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. I'm Tony Fisher. This is Joanne Husky, just in case you didn't know. And we are here to welcome you and everybody online and out there on the pavilion to our Easter Earth Day Flower Ceremony Sunday. There's a lot going on today, and so we're going to get going. It's good to be together. I want to acknowledge the youth that are here with us, here or outside on the pavilion. They're going to help us hand things out a little bit later. My big gratitude this morning is for the choir. They have done such an incredible job this year. They sound beautiful. Look at the numbers over here. It's late April, and here they are singing. And thank you for everything you brought to these services this year. It's been wonderful. Hurry back. This will be their last sort of big ensemble performance of the season. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. And so welcome to Joanne Husky, our worship associate today. You're on. Yeah.
Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. As Tony said, happy Easter. Happy Passover for those who celebrated this past week. Happy Flower Sunday. What else do we have, Tony?
Earth Day.
Oh, and happy Earth Day. And welcome. It's good to see all of you here gathered in our sanctuary and everybody out there online. Good morning. If you're wherever you are with your families, we're happy to have you. Whether you're new today, we'd love to get to know you, so please make yourself known to us sometime. You can come and speak with Tony or me afterwards,
please.
Or come and join us afterwards for coffee and refreshments on the patio. We would really like to help you connect and get to know this wonderful congregation.
How many of you are here for the first time
How
today?
many new people
Anybody?
do we have today?
Visitors or otherwise? Yeah. Welcome.
As I said, we are a welcoming congregation, freely seeking spiritual and intellectual growth, and we strive to live our values of peace, justice, and love out in the world every day. So let's take a deep breath right now and prepare for our worship with the morning's prelude.
In this time, we honor the rich traditions and stories of siblings in our faith. For Holi, the Hindu festival, marking the triumph of good over evil. For Ramadan, a time to stop and reflect and act in the name of goodness. For Passover, which ends today and reminds us of the cost of liberation and the demands of freedom. For Easter, reminding us that love is our greatest challenge. For Oestre, the pagan celebration of spring, calling us to the earth's rhythms and the constancy of rebirth. For Earth Day, the annual reminder to honor our planet every day. We light our chalice this morning honoring these traditions and for the opportunity to be together as a community, to remember the past and to be alive in the present. Please join me in the chalice lighting you'll see on the screen. May we know once again that we are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. And let's rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, "Oh, Give Us Pleasure in the Flowers Today." It's number 64 in the gray hymnal if you're reading along. Words will be on the screen. Oh, give us pleasure in
the flowers today, and give us not to think so far away, as the uncertain harvest keep us here, all simply in the springing of the year. Oh, give us pleasure in the orchard wide, like nothing else by day, like ghosts tonight, and make us happy in the happy bees, the swarm dilating round the perfect trees. Won't give us happy in the darting bird, that suddenly above the bees is heard, the meteor thrust in needle bill, and off a blossom mid-air stand still. For this is love, and nothing else is love, that which is made reserved for God above, to sanctify to what far ends he will, but which it only needs that we fulfill.
102 years ago, Norbert and Maya Čapek were the ministers of the Unitarian Church in Prague, Czechoslovakia. At one time, the largest Unitarian congregation in the world, with a membership of 3,200 members. Think of this times 10. Most of the members of that congregation had left other religious traditions to become Unitarians, and many of those people didn't necessarily want to be reminded of the religions they had left behind. So Norbert and Maya decided to create a new ritual for their congregation, a flower ceremony. They turned to the native beauty of their land, the countryside, and the elements of ritual from that countryside seemed most genuine and natural to the folks in their congregation. One Sunday in June, they asked everyone in the congregation to bring a flower for the worship service. There were more than 2,000 people attending regularly the congregation, so they rented a big concert hall every week for their worship services. When the people arrived on that particular Sunday morning, they put all the flowers up along the whole width of the stage. So you imagine this sort of going across maybe 60 feet, perhaps. Thousands of flowers from thousands of people. And as probably then as today, they brought more than one to share. So it was quite a spectacle. And Norbert reminded people that every flower is unique. Every single flower here is different, looks different, even though they might look the same, they are not. And it reminded him of us as people. Every one of us is different. None of us is the same. No one of us. You can recognize anybody here in the congregation from their face, and because nobody looks the same. There's no Ellen Hemrick over there as well. So they created this service, and it was wonderful. People went up at the end of the service and took a different flower home with them to remind them of their connection to the congregation, and it was a great success. It was Maya Chapek who introduced the flower ceremony to the Unitarian churches in the United States. She was on a fundraising trip for relief efforts for Europe in 1939, and she came to the United States to do that. And she introduced the flower ceremony to the church in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and that was the first time it had been celebrated here. But from there, it has spread all over the country. Maya was unfortunately stuck in the United States because she couldn't get back to her home country of Czechoslovakia because of the war. And Norbert was there, and unfortunately, they never saw each other again. Norbert was arrested for speaking out against the state, and he died in a prisoner of war camp, a concentration camp during the war. She didn't know that until the end of the war. But while she was here, actually, she served a congregation in New Bedford, Massachusetts, and shared the flower ceremony with that church as well. So this is a long-standing tradition, and it's celebrated across the country in many congregations, mostly in June, but in the South, many congregations celebrate it at Easter. When our youth come back from their Easter can hunt, they're doing a can hunt for our weekend meals program, they will join us again and then help us celebrate the flower ceremony by handing out the flowers. And we may need a few other young at heart people to help us do that, but I know there's a lot of those here as well. So please remain seated and join together in our centering hymn, Find a Stillness, while our youth and their wonderful caretakers take leave of us in their bunny ears.
All children and teens who want to come, you can follow me.
Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find a true harmony.
On this day of days, celebrated across traditions, we honor all the members of the Christian and Jewish faiths who find this debate to be an important day in their lives. We honor traditions all over the globe and all the people in the world who are suffering from disease, famine, war. We hope in the spirit of this day that we can find together a rebirth of love and justice, drive us together and fill our days with hope. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you'd like to share this morning, I hope you'll raise your hand, speak your name, and tell us briefly what's in your heart this morning.
Thank you, Tony. I'm James Husky. I have a joy and a sorrow. My joy is the 250th anniversary of our great nation and its government, the finest government in the history of the world, a government that I served with great pride as a diplomat representing our values around the world, Africa, Asia, Europe. My sorrow is that that diplomacy is now ending, as our diplomats are being fired in droves, as our programs are being shut down. Yesterday, they announced the closure of our global programs on human rights, on democracy, on refugees, etc. So at this time, at this holy time of Easter, Passover, Ramadan, Holi, may we hope for another American Great Awakening.
Thank you, Jim.
Hi, I'm Tabitha Stadler, and I just wanted to share some sad news in our lives. Although, you know, it's going to happen to all of us, right? My father-in-law, 95, fell ill just 2 weeks ago. I was actually in the youth service when I found out. And on Thursday, he passed away. Yeah, it's been rough, but that's relatively quick. He was 95, and we all did get to see him and say goodbye. So, yeah,
Thanks, Tabitha.
Hi, I'm Sherry Arns. We've had some joy and sorrow within a week. A week ago, my kids called and said, "Mom, we're moving back to Florida from Tennessee." So we were overjoyed. And then Thursday, my daughter called to tell me she had to rush my great-granddaughter, the little girl that stood up with us when we were married, to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital in Nashville. Her blood levels were off the wall crazy. And she's a little better today. Her numbers are better, but they're going to do a bone marrow aspiration on Monday. So I'm asking for some prayers.
Hi, my name is Lois Graydon, and I also have a sorrow and a joy. I'm finally able to talk about it without tearing up. My sister passed just right around the time that your sister did, Tony. So she was relatively young, 74. So that has been on my mind quite a bit. Also, I have somewhat of a joy. My husband has been suffering with chronic pain for the last 6 months or so, and we're headed back up to Mass General to speak to his physician to possibly do surgery on his back. So I'm hopeful that he'll get some relief. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lois.
Hi, Bill McCormick here. I do have a couple of joys. For Emerson Academy students, I just heard 2 of our students, 2 more, got full rides one to University of Richmond and the other one to Boston College. He's pre-med. So far this year, we have gotten over $1 million of full rides for these kids who are first-generation Americans whose parents are immigrants from Haiti or South America or Albania, wherever. But anyway, they're really remarkable kids.
Thank you, Bill, for your work.
Good morning. I'm Beth, and I have a joy and a sorrow. I'll start with the sorrow. I recently did some volunteer activity with some youth, and I was teaching first aid. And a lot of the questions that came to me were, what would you do if an active shooter came to the school? And it hurts my heart that this is on the kids' minds. So I just wanted to share that that's kind of what's going on with our youth. And then the joy that I have is that we got to go on a youth camping trip this weekend, and it was really nice to connect with some of the church members and spend some time in nature. I really enjoyed waking up to the sound of the creatures out there, and it's not very often that you get to spend time in nature, so I really appreciated that.
Great. Thank you, Beth. So I understand there were good numbers at the camp out, which may be why we don't have great numbers here this morning with our little ones.
Hi, I'm Gail Niels, and about 75 years ago in New York City, I was taken to All Souls Unitarian Church on 80th and Lexington Avenue. It had just opened their new church. Their first church in New York City, the first Unitarian church in New York City, was garish yellow and red, built in a Byzantine style, and known to New Yorkers as the Church of the Holy Zebra. The church they built and provided me with my first religious education was brick with a spire, and it could not have looked more like a conventional church. At any rate, flash forward to about 6 years ago when Vincent Keyes spent an evening, we talked about sort of the world and churches, and he said, I think I have a place that you might like. And he brought us here, and the rest is history. And we are very saddened to be leaving at the end of a wonderful season here for us, but we look forward to seeing you next year.
Thanks, Gail.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Inglis. I have two joys. One is demonstrating for our democracy yesterday with my children. First time I ever did that together. And the other is I completed an 11-week course, and this is Flower Day. I'm now a master gardener. I passed the test.
Congratulations.
Good morning. This morning's chalice lighting really reverberated with me. We are not isolated beings, but connected in mystery and miracle to the universe, to this community, and to each other. And what an amazing demonstration of that. Downtown Naples, thousands of people gathered once again.
Raise your hand if you're leaving this week. Peter and I are going north, and we're dashing to a family party with his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren right after church, so we can't say goodbye. So we will bring your greetings to the UU congregation in Rockland, Maine.
So safe travels to you too, and to everyone who raised their hand, and everybody who's leaving and didn't raise their hand.
Good morning.
Oh.
I think it's not on. Good morning. My name is Ed Ostrom, and there's hardly a day that goes by in which my wife doesn't say how wonderful it is that I'm still alive. And I say the same thing to her. And yesterday she had a conversation with her girlfriend, and the girlfriend said, "Do you know how rare it is that a husband and wife, ages 91 and 92, still are alive together and still have their wits?"
I'm pretty sure about Marge, Ed, but so grateful for the ability to cry and to laugh together, to share some of our deepest concerns and sorrows and our joys. So grateful for this community who holds each other close. Please join me in the spirit of meditation. Spirit of life, something has called us forth on this day. A desire for camaraderie, a yearning of an aching heart, the comfortable habit of community, the excitement of new connections, a stimulus of good conversations, a moment of clarity or stillness, the glories of nature outside the window and inside here, the glorious music we experience every week that elevates our spirits, a desire to be reminded of the old stories that link us both to the past and to the future, the need to connect with something greater than self, for which we might draw hope or courage or compassion. Something has called us forth on this day. Something has set our feet or our wheels in motion and brought us together. And aren't we glad? Let's spend some time in silence. A number of years ago, a colleague of mine wrote a sermon titled, "There's Easter and There's Spring." It was a reference to the fact that many Unitarian Universalist congregations, especially in the North, often conflate Easter with the coming of spring and the resurrection of the earth. It's a natural thing to do, given our name, Unitarian. Many have an issue with both the literal and the Christian theological aspects of the resurrection. So we look maybe a little bit back in time to the Germanic celebration of Oestre, the pre-Christian Germanic goddess who was worshipped during the spring equinox and who unknowingly probably gave her name up to the Christian tradition. Oestre is often associated with fertility, both of humans and of the earth, and is depicted with symbols like rabbits and eggs. We're pretty comfortable, we Unitarians, with themes that revolve around nature and the earth for our services on this day, where others are celebrating the resurrection of Christ. And we're especially delighted when Easter comes late in April and we can pull Earth Day into the celebration as well. In the South, as I mentioned earlier, especially here in Florida, where we don't really have what might be thought of as a spring, we have brought the flower ceremony into our Easter fairly regularly as a fitting tribute to nature and community. My colleague's complaint was actually quite mild, but he argued that there are far too many really, really good lessons for us to explore about Jesus and those who chose to follow him without getting into the resurrection, which, after all, was added as a theological layer, added some time after the life and times of Jesus of Nazareth. But as I did spend some time on Palm Sunday, last Sunday, exploring some of those themes, and since Joanne Husky has written a beautiful reflection about a more modern look at the Easter holiday, I'm going to talk about Earth Day instead. And remind you about a service that we did in January when Joan Benz and I stood here and talked about the high-impact changes that could be made that would have the greatest positive impact on reducing global warming. Surprisingly, the top two items were things that individual human beings could do. Number one was reduce food waste, and number two was to move to a plant-rich diet. We think about large-scale things that corporations and governments can do, and that's absolutely true. But we also have the opportunity as a whole, as a collective, to make a significant difference for our planet. During that service, some of the Carbon crew shared what they were pledging to do following that service as they created their own climate action plan, a personal climate action plan. And they are also here back, some of them and some other people are here to share with us today how that has gone over the last February, March, April, 3 months. Things they've done large or small to help them and help us and the planet. So we're going to get a few reports from the Carbon crew this morning. And who's starting? Joe DiVincenzi starting.
Thank you, Tony. There's a wonderful TED Talk by a professor of geology. You might have seen her on Jimmy Kimmel. She's quite funny. Her name is Professor Katharine Hayhoe. And Katharine Hayhoe says, the most important thing we can do to solve the climate crisis is talk about it. Today is another example of that. In Carbon Crew, we have employed almost 18 of the members of this church in this conversation, which is a simple, free, and fun way to look at those issues. We've got a table outside. We're happy to discuss with you how to get involved. Tony mentioned the two that really drive me related to food. 40% of all food grown in America is never consumed. It's wasted. That's mind-boggling, 40%. It's 30% worldwide. But here, we can make choices. And so, just to tell you, in my personal climate action plan, I've changed the way I eat breakfast. Many times, if I have a leftover that I had for supper a night or two ago and I was about to throw out, I'll sit and have it for breakfast. I also take a container everywhere I go. I have it in my car, so I'm not using more plastic. And I take home a meal if I just don't finish it, instead of having them throw it out. So food waste is something 8.2 billion of us can do something about. And so I'm hopeful that that will drive home that point. And I also just want to say that the other piece that I do about talking about it, every Wednesday evening I do Carbon Crew with students from all over the country who are getting volunteer hours, service hours, and building personal climate action plans. It's the best hour of my week. So I hope you'll consider doing Crew with me and other members of the congregation. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
I'm going to pass it on to Masha, Masha Gunther, to share her idea.
I joined the Carbon Crew about 2 years ago, and I have a home in Buffalo, and I have a home down here. And because of choices made about 15 to 20 years ago on roofing, and because of HOA difficulties, I am not able to put a solar roof on my buildings. But I decided that I would open up my finances, and I offered to my nephew the opportunity. And that was 2 years ago. And in March, up in Buffalo, he had his solar panels put on, and supposedly he will reduce his electrical bill to about $10 a month. And they just had a new child. They had to have a van. They had to get a van in order to transport 3 kids. And they could not have had the solar panels unless I had contributed to that purchase. And I feel really, really blessed to have the finances to help one household in the U.S. transformed.
Who's next?
My name is Judy Freiberg. Diana Mattern and Joe dragged me into Carbon Crew, and I'm really glad they did. My personal, the most important thing for me is eating less beef. From Drawdown by this guy, Paul Hawken, who is the genesis, essentially, of Carbon Crew, his theories. He says raising cattle accounts for approximately 15% of greenhouse gas emissions at the least, and as much as 50% if you include indirect greenhouse gas emissions. There's a new book out by Ezra Klein and Derek Thompson called Abundance, which I suggest everybody read. It's amazing. Only 2 or 3% of habitable land we live on. Half of our land is used to feed ourselves, agricultural land. 3/4 of agricultural land is used to raise livestock and grow fuel to feed livestock. So this, of course, then, animal agriculture is a driver of climate change, deforestation, water scarcity. It takes 1,800 gallons of water to produce a single pound of boneless beef. When I consider the health issues that we face when we eat beef and the brutality and suffering that industrial and animal agriculture perpetrates on animals, my personal goal is to reduce and end beef consumption.
Who's next? Who else is up? Leslie? There. green mic. Go ahead.
Am I on now? Oh, there we go. All right. So I already tried to reduce my consumption of beef, try to be mostly plant-based. So I was thinking, well, what could I add? I guess it would be in the area of transportation. So I get to carpool with these lovely people, Ed and Marge Ostrom, to choir, because we live in Fort Myers Beach, so I try to reduce that way. We bought e-bikes for up north so that we can go shopping, go to the grocery store, go to our co-op, and not fire up the car. Tried to cut back on airplane transportation. That's another big, use of fossil fuels. And if I do transport that way, I try to do some carbon offsets. So I think that's what I'm trying to do, trying to encourage myself and others to carpool when you can.
Great. Is there anybody else? Joe, anybody else? Oh, good.
I just have a quick tip.
Sure, a quick tip from guest Jen.
A quick tip. I'm Jennifer Sloboda, and I see a lot of plastic around. I'm from the San Francisco area, and we banned plastic bags a long time ago, and I'm not buying any of these Ziploc bags. I'm using reusable containers, so I suggest we reduce our plastic. Thank you.
Wait, thank you. Anybody else from the Carbon Crew ready to speak? Oh, John.
All these big things we can do, but there are so many small things that I forget about and then can think about. The EPA.org has an excellent website that they still haven't taken down. And one of the things you can look up is household carbon. And one of the things it said was, for every degree you turn up the thermostat, you can save 6% of your electric energy bill. So I gave up this pretty little bedspread that I thought was light in my bedroom and sleep only under sheet now, and was able to turn up the thermostat 3 degrees, so that's like 18%, and it's much easier to make the bed now. So win, win, win.
Thanks, Joe. All right. That's awesome. Thank you all. Thank you for your efforts, and for all of you who make the slightest change in your routines to help the Earth. If you're interested in this, and I know we handed out a worksheet to create a personal climate action plan in January, and I only found about, maybe 10 in the sanctuary afterwards. So hopefully most of you took them home and put them with every other good thing on your refrigerator door and have been looking at them. If you haven't sort of followed up on it, please just let me know or Joe know. We will send you the worksheet for the Personal Climate Action Plan, and you can go through the checklist and find things easily that you can do very simply to help the environment. Perhaps also the flowers today and all this beautiful fragrance will help you remind yourself of the beauty of the earth and how important it is to help this planet in its regeneration. Cheryl?
Oh, I just wanted to say something that I learned that was kind of disturbing. Collier County uses 60% of the water in Collier County is used for landscaping.
So there's some advocacy you can do as well. I am looking forward to Joanne's reflection, but right now we have the choir.
Today, in churches all over the world, people are celebrating a man who lived 2,000 years ago. He was a simple man of Jewish background. So, what was it that has resonated about him for thousands of years and that people still are celebrating today? The story of Jesus is one that we desperately need today. He preached and he demonstrated in his life the very radical notion of love. He asked us to love our fellow neighbor as ourselves. He roamed the region and he reached out to and he advocated for the poor, for the sick, for dying people, for women who were denigrated, for the hungry, for those completely outcast by society. He was committed to uplifting the oppressed. And at the same exact time, he bravely challenged the authorities of the day to respect all people and to amend their corrupt ways. He proclaimed that there is a higher moral authority based on divine justice and peace that all of us must live by and that will ultimately prevail. So this is his message. It's very simple, but very radical, that continues to resonate over the decades. And we, by embodying love, by seeking unity, striving for justice, practicing humility, acting with compassion, and upholding moral integrity, can each of us address the challenges facing our nation. And in that aggregate way, we can contribute to the healing and to the renewal of our country. Yet, Easter is a time when many reflect on the fact that Jesus was crucified for doing these things, for challenging all to create a more just and caring society. His message of love, however, is resurrected in each of us, as we are called to live our lives in service, compassion, and promoting justice. That is the true miracle of Easter. Today, as immigrants and students and the poor and blacks and gays and Muslims and government workers and victims of war and civil servants and so many others are being oppressed and treated unjustly and even cruelly. We UUs and people of faith all over, of every different tradition, are challenged to live courageously as bold examples of a just and a caring community. Today, in these beautiful flowers that we have in front of us, we have the beauty and diversity and the abundance of our earth. So when you receive a flower in a little while from a youth or from one of us, I want to ask you to dedicate that one flower to one person who has been treated unfairly, unjustly by the present-day powers that be. and hold that person in your heart and in your mind. And feel some compassion for what they are experiencing today. And let that flower that you take home be a reminder to live your own life filled with love, with moral integrity and kindness, which, if we all did that together in communion, I am sure our energy will counter the anger, the fear, the pain, and suffering that so many people in this country and this world are feeling on this Easter Sunday. So let this very small act be a resurrection of we the people.
Thank you, Joanne. With so many wonderful messages blossoming on this day, let us enjoy a time of music while we share our gifts, financial gifts, for the ongoing mission of this congregation. The morning's offering will be gratefully received. In a moment, our youth will come and join us for our flower ceremony. And come on in. In a second, I'll ask them to come forward to distribute the flowers to everybody. Abby will play some soft music in the background, but I ask you that you wait and receive your flower quietly, reverently, with a sense of how important it is for each of us to receive our world and one another with gentleness, justice, and love. The flower you receive will be different from the one you brought forward. And as you take your flower, note its particular shape and beauty. Please remember to handle it carefully. It is a gift from someone who has provided it for you. It represents that person's unique humanity and therefore deserves your kindest touch. So we begin. As the children come forward, let us share quietly in this Unitarian ritual of oneness and love. Pass those out. Some of these roses still have. Let us bless these flowers that we hold. Spirit of life, transient and imperfect, these blossoms are still gifts of infinite value, like ourselves. Too often we seek permanence and perfection, resisting change, blind to our shortcomings. May these flowers serve as a reminder, for despite their imperfections, they still have integrity. And though they are transient like ourselves, they contain the seeds of transcendence. So let us open ourselves to mystery and wonder, fretting not too much about small mishaps or even great misfortune, loving enough to share our strengths and our weaknesses in community, for the life of a new world is at our fingertips, and our own true inner glow can light the way. Let's rise and body your spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world, I'm gonna let it shine. Building up the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Like cosmic dust following a great meteor, are the living remnants of time and all that has come to pass in its wake, briefly shining lights on the way to eternity. We are only visible to the naked eye for a brief instant. Take this moment to shine like the stardust that you are. May the light of our time on earth shine to bless the world and each other. Go in peace, go in love. Have a wonderful day.